Good welcome to Lagosians and Nigerians, and welcome to your number one talk show that is first with the trending and thought-provoking conversations, Real Talk with Kike. And definitely I'm your host, yours truly, Kike Lomatondawo. I must say that I get excited every time we have the opportunity to do this, but today I feel a little bit gloomy with a lot going on all over the world in the last 72 hours. Before we go on into our main topic of the day, here are a few of those trending topics of trending news all over the world. One was the ban of Okada in Lagos, tricycle on restricted areas in Lagos rules. To be precise, about 15 local governments was having affected. The Lagos state promised to roll out more buses from the depot, but what's the implication of this development? I just wish that the Lagos state government could actually train or reorientate the drivers or the Okada riders, so to speak. That's what ZH stands for. At least I can categorically say that we can come out there and train them, because I believe that that's exactly what they need. But definitely this topic is going to surface in another few days and we would talk about it. But the second thing that I believe that we should also, that is also breaking news, is the Lassa fever that have been recorded to have killed 41 persons this year out of 19 states. That's a lot, and I believe that I think Lagos State are trying to do a lot of curbing and all of that. I think people should try as much as possible to get all the necessary injections and all. Then the third thing is, over the weekend the world lost a legendary basketballer in the field sport, Kobe Bryant, alongside 8 other people. May their soul rest in perfect peace. I don't want us to waste time on that, but going straight to the topic of the day, domestic violence is one conversation that keeps popping up in Nigeria. Women are commonly the most popular victims of domestic violence, mostly caused by their spouses or partners, where records shows that 63 men killed their wives in 2019, while 13 women killed their spouses in the same year. However, tides have begun to change, with women becoming the perpetrators of this act, so to speak. In recent times, we have had cases of women stabbing and inflicting fatal injuries on their partners. In most recent cases, their spouses, simply out of jealousy, infidelities, or in some cases, argument that gets out of proportion. But in 2017, Maryam Sanda was accused of fatally stabbing a now deceased husband, who was the nephew of the former PDP chairman, because it's actually important for us to emphasize on this. Everybody have been saying that he's the son of the former PDP chairman. Is actually the nephew of the former PDP chairman, and she was at the time she was a nursing mother, and reports have it that it was a case of suspected infidelity that led into an argument which resulted into fights, and then the stabbing took place. Just on Monday, Maryam Sanda was sentenced to death by hanging, the ultimate punishment for this crime, at the Federal High Court in Abuja. Presiding was Justice Yusuf Alilu, who said every available evidence had proven that Maryam totally stabbed the husband to death in Abuja, amongst other things. We have with us Ojo Akinwale, a legal practitioner and human rights activist, is also the president of Katraf, thank you, and Precious Ajuzie, a legal lawyer with us. Also, we are talking about domestic violence among intimate partners, and I believe that it's important for us to emphasize that this domestic violence actually happens on both sides, and again, welcome to the studio, and thank you for joining us despite the fact that we gave you a short notice. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. How many cases of domestic violence have you treated in general?
Well, I've lost count, because it just keep coming in. I have one that is already we filed no case submission, and mostly it's women killing their husband, alleged, and some of them were able to prove that the prosecution were unable to prove their case, and they were discharged. Some, even at the level of DPP, we follow with autopsy diligently, and the autopsy results will show that they are not culpable, even they should not be charged. So we're able to do that. So it's something that we see that issue of domestic violence is not before the stereotype argument is just it's female that is victim, but now it is tilting both sides, that we've seen that women too have become vicious and they are now being charged. So it is no more issue of one gender. It's just that's the reason it is called domestic violence.
We'll definitely get to that. So I think Precious, let me come to you first. What are your thoughts on Maryam Sanda's case? What's your thought about it?
My thoughts, the court is not a court of sentiments or emotion. It's a law court. In my own opinion, I stand with the judgment of the court. The court was fair in delivering its judgment. No, before the court could arrive at that judgment, the doctrine of last sin was applied in that case. When we talk about last sin, it means presumes that the person last seen with the disease before his death was responsible for his death, and the accused is expected to provide an explanation of what happened. In this case, Maryam's confessional statement was inadequate to prove her husband's death. Her statement at the police station and the court, both were inconsistent. People were saying that, Precious, what do you think about this? What do you think about this case? So believe that she was pushed by her husband to do that. Now that we advise people in domestic violent marriages to leave.
All right, thank you so much, Precious. I am Akinwale. I think that I would need your thoughts on that. But aside that, I want to ask that: do you think that the death penalty is not too extreme, so to speak, an extreme punishment? Because I feel that it's quite harsh. I don't know what your own opinion is. I mean, that does the punishment fit the crime in your opinion as a lawyer?
Well, without holding brief for issue of death penalty, but if you look at the case, to charge for murder, there are 3 elements that are supposed to be established. That the deceased died. So that means that is the accused person that caused the death of the disease, and the death was unlawful, and again it is intentional to kill or to cause grievous bodily harm. Once those 3 elements is established, then the law it's not in between. That means the judgment is death penalty by hanging. So that is that. So because if you look at the defense put up by her, it's showing that it is not, she said, like some cases, they were being charged because it is spontaneous argument, it is out of anger, then the person will be sentenced to prison, terms imprisonment, because there's an admission that the action was committed by me. So that's why you now look at the circumstances surrounding it. But this one, she's not admitting. So, but the prosecution was able to pin it down and establish and prove those elements, and the judge has no option than to do that. The only option available for her now is to seek maybe pardon, and that means that the president, because it's a FCT and it is the High Court of Federal FCT that did that. So it's FCT High Court.
At least it's not Supreme Court.
It's not Supreme Court yet.
Yeah.
So she has option to appeal, which the court will look at. It is the same material.
I also understand that the state government, or the governor, so to speak, the sitting governor is going to put a pen to the paper to finally agree for her to be sentenced to
death because it is Abuja. It's Abuja. Yeah. It's the president that will do that. If it is state, then the governor will do that. It is FCT Abuja. It's the president. And so until the president signed it through the minister for FCT.
So how effective do you think these laws on domestic violence are? How effective do you think it is?
Well, the law is there, and we can see the application of the law, that it is no more a domestic issue, that can be just swept under the carpet. It is now being given the same criminal level of all action. So the law is effective, but now we need more of orientation and talk to the people that this is what you need to do if you are in abusive.
So that takes me to another question, because I believe that a lot of advocacy should have been brought in place, reorientating the people and understanding that we need to introduce or reorientate the police force. I'm going to give you an example. I've seen a situation where maybe a partner goes to the police station to even complain about rape in the first place, and you see the police force or the officer himself is not, is taking it lightly and saying that, what do you mean by rape, something like, or you are talking about domestic violence, that you are abused by your partner. They want you, because maybe he doesn't even have the moral standard, so to speak, because he might also even be in that act of abusing his own partner. Do you understand? So when such situation is brought to the police quarters, I believe that the police quarter themselves needs to be reorientated, and this is the reason why I'm asking you, should advocacy or orientation come into power, and how effective do you think it's going to be in our country today?
Yes, with the trend of things that is going on now, it is like a time bomb. So we have to be proactive in it, in trying to orientate the people instead of waiting till we see this kind of thing. What happened to the children? So they've lost the two parents. That will be at the end of the day.
Exactly.
But she still has the right to appeal on that. That one is still on that cooler. But if you look at in Lagos State, we have the gender department in Lagos State in the police. We have that, and they are taking that. And Lagos State too have made a gender offenses and special offenses court, where the issue of domestic violence is no more domesticated. You cannot go to police before it's like that, but now in Lagos it is turning out, because every day in court I've been there. Yesterday I was also in that court. It's a special offenses court on domestic violence. Yes. So you will see more people coming in that place. So it shows that we need to do more.
Akinwale, listening to you, definitely you've worked with a lot of victims of domestic violence, and what do you think actually triggers the act of these women who act violently most of the time?
Most of the time it is that they bottled it up, and because of our society we don't have a department for psychology where you can go and be talked through and be both party, because in outside the country you have families, couple can be called and they will counsel, they have marriage counseling, they do that. But here, because we are still coming up,
I will even see situations that when you even complain to families, they will tell you that because of the children you hanging there, because of this and all of that. What do you think, Precious, in a situation like this?
In a situation like this, we are talking about stigma attached to divorce. We need to encourage people, when you're in a domestic violent marriage, you need to leave. Now, divorce affects women more in Nigeria. When you come out, you see somebody saying you're a second-hand woman, you can't be married. No, the greed for women to be misused by all means, you just want to be like your mate, and you know that marriage is not working just because of what the society will say. You see what will say because of your children, and if you die, your children will also leave. That's why we also advise that women should learn to leave their marriage. If the marriage is not peaceful, if it is violent, you should leave. Also tell men too that they should also leave their marriage. Now, the case of Maryam, she said the husband has been cheating for the 2 years they've been married, and they've been telling her to stay. She should stay put, she should endure. Actually, she left. She wouldn't have bottled up that anger in her to stab the husband, but she insisted on staying in that marriage to please the society.
Thank you so much for that. So, Olawale, listening to Precious, in some cases where a woman is constantly being abused by her partner, verbally, physically, what steps should be taken? And especially in the case where age, when women feel standing for themselves requires being violent, because as you heard clearly, there are a lot of times that the society puts some level of pressure on you, and women are beginning to stand up for themselves regardless of whatever society or the validation that the society is trying to place on them that they need marriage. What's your opinion on that?
Well, we've seen that in recent time we've been having a lot of independent women.
Yeah.
And they have been advocates. I'm talking about it, that you don't need to be under somebody that is not going to value you. So what I've said there is that it's better to go for counseling and you'll be advised on what to do than to bottle it up, because you may not know, out of anger, because it's like a time bomb to just explode. Once it explodes, you may not be able to control your rage. And because of the test, we don't have enough tests to be able to test your rage to know whether this person should not be sentenced to death because of that rage. We don't have that. So it is a dangerous trend. So the best thing to do is discuss with people. Discuss with those you know have already, they are facing the same thing, or people can advise you better.
Recently, we've had another case in Katsina. I don't know if you guys saw it in the news. A 19-year-old woman who stabbed her 25-year-old husband to death following a domestic conflict. So the next question is, what can be done to put an end to this?
Yes, what I've said that we have law on one side. As I said, that it's also bordered on parenting, because what is happening now, parents should not only focus on education, they also focus on what happened after.
Hold your thought, please. I think we have a caller on the line. Sorry about that. Ellie?
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. What's your name and where are you calling from, please?
My name is Emmanuel. I'm calling from Lagos.
All right. Thank you so much for your contribution today. What's your contribution,
yes,
please?
I have this, first of all, I have this issue with domestic violence.
Okay.
Study over time has shown that several women are more involved in domestic violence than men. If you consider the kind of treatment that are meted to house helps, they are pumped with electric iron, they have pepper introduced into their genitals, all kind of things that we see and we read on the news regularly. If you add that to what is done to the men, and most times when those women are arrested, their husbands are brought in, and because they cannot voice those things out, they keep quiet and the police rein them in along with their wives. So I think women need to talk to themselves. Most times when this issue comes up, people say women should leave marriages. So who will leave a marriage when a woman treats the house help badly?
Thank you so much for
that. Yes, that.
All right, thank you so much for your contribution. Do you think that mental health has a part to play in any of this? Before you answer while you're answering the question of the caller.
Yes, sometimes we'll see that some people are not mentally stable.
Yeah.
And because of stigma on seeking mental health support, makes people not to seek mental health support, because somebody is suffering from depression, hallucination, and at the end of the day, at that range of time, that thing came upon the person, and a little of anger can trigger action. And then because we did not usually seek help and check the mental stability of a person at a time, so it makes it that we cannot. Sometimes you see the way some people acted. I was doing a case, the young man has gone home to go and pick something. He came with another cloth. Why? Is the wife. He was quarreling. Where are you going to? And everything. So it is. But I will just ask, can't you help the lady?
There's always an action that begets a reaction.
So why can't you help her? And at the end of the day, they sought the help.
All right.
And they discover that she has little of mental
Thank you
issue.
so much, Olawale. Precious, what's your final words on this case, or what's your advice that you want to give the women out there when they are being pushed to the wall, and what are your own choice if you found, how to fight back, so to speak?
My advice to the women: if you find yourself in such situation, you should leave. It's better to be called a divorced woman, or it's better to be called a divorced woman. Now, if I were in the case of Maryam and I find my husband cheating, I would leave instead of killing him. I will leave for my children.
All right, thank you so much, Professor Olawale. What's your last word on this issue?
The very last word is for both men and women in marriage, and the men should know what their wife don't want to take and don't trigger problem, because at the end of the day, the reaction may not be palatable. And also women to control your emotion, control your anger.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us today, Olawale and Precious. And in my opinion, violence has and will never be the solution to anything. If you feel unsafe in any situation, get out and seek help. Lagos State has domestic violence offices. Unfortunately, I couldn't pull out the number before we went on air. So let's try and shun every form of violence. A broken home is unwanted, but it's better than being a widow, so to speak, in an home. Thank you again for joining us. Till we come your way, same time, same station next week. Remember to always keep it real and be kind to one another. Bye for now.